Welcome to our lesson about the Select tool. The Select tool has a drop-down menu with a number of subtools that are pretty useful, and we're going to be exploring them in this lesson. Let's take a look at the submenu. One option is Select All Occurrences. Now, since Mount 01 occurs 3 times in this assembly, if I select Mount 01, I'm going to have 3 instances that become selected. To unselect, just click in blank space in the graphic area. Now let's look at the Select Constrain To option. Let's select Mount 01 again. The base and Mount 02 become selected, since they're both constrained to the first instance of Mount 01. Let's unselect by clicking in blank space in the graphic area. Now let's select the second instance of Mount 1. Right-click and select Isolate. Now this instance is the only part that shows. Let's undo the isolate. Or we can go to the Select drop-down menu and select Invert Selection. Now the components that are not selected become selected. Let's invert the selection again. And click in the graphic area to unselect everything. Now let's select by size. Select Component Size. Since the largest dimension on the mount is 2 inches, all 4 mounts become selected. Let's enter a value of 1.5 inches. Nothing is selected now since we don't have a component with its largest dimension smaller than 1.5 inches. Let's change this value. Let's change it to 2.5 inches. And the 4 mounts become selected. Another selection option is Select Component Offset. Let's select Mount 02. Now, since Mount 01 is inside the offset selection area, it becomes selected as well. Check here to include partially contained items. Part of the base is inside the selection area, so it becomes selected also. OK, and let's click in the graphic area to unselect everything. Let's take a look at the next option, Select Sphere Offset. I'm going to select Mount 02 again. Since Mount 01 is inside the selection sphere, it becomes selected also. Check Include Partially Contained. And now the base is contained as well. Let's change the radius of the selection sphere. 2.3 inches. Now the second instance of the mount becomes selected since it's partially within the sphere. And let's click outside to unselect everything. Let's take a look at another option, Select by Plane. Let's select this face. And once again, we have the option to include partially contained features. Click here to flip the direction. Our next method is to select External Components. All external components except Mount 01 become selected. Since this selection is based on visibility, if I make 100% visibility, the first instance of Mount 1 becomes selected also. Now in the graphic area, this component is less visible. When I drag the slider to the left, this component is the first to become unselected. As I continue to drag the slider to the left, only the most visible components remain selected. And let's click OK. Let's take a look at another selection option. Select Internal Components. Now, since we don't have any here, none will show, so let's move on to the next selection method, Select Camera. Once again, this tool is based on a percentage of visibility. Now, since everything in the graphic area is visible right now, everything is selected. Let's change the view. And let's close All in Camera. And let's activate the selection method again. Since the first and second instances of Mount 01 aren't visible, they're not selected here. Let's cancel out of this dialog window. And this concludes our lesson about the Select tool.